Ambassador Zethkar flexed his forearms in frustration as he reviewed the intelligence reports scattered across his desk. The holographic displays painted a picture that defied all logic, all precedent, and all council predictions. Humanity, those bipedal primitives from the third planet of an unremarkable star system, had just obliterated the hegemony's 7th fleet. "This cannot be accurate," he muttered, his mandibles clicking in agitation. 3 months earlier, the Galactic Council had convened to address the human problem. Their rapid expansion beyond their home system had caught the attention of several member species. But the threat assessment had been laughably low. Humans possessed no exotic technologies, no psychic abilities, no natural armor, or enhanced physical capabilities. They were classified as Category 4, minor annoyance. The Veltar representative had dismissed them entirely. Soft-skinned mammals with a lifespan barely exceeding 100 cycles. They'll burn themselves out within a generation. The Krillian delegate had been equally dismissive. Their military doctrine is primitive. They still use kinetic projectiles and chemical explosives. Any advanced species could neutralize them with minimal effort. Even Zethkar, despite his reputation for caution, had agreed. The humans were expanding too quickly, yes, but they were no different from a dozen other young species that had eventually been absorbed or eliminated by the hegemony. A single fleet deployment would suffice. How spectacularly wrong they had all been. The first sign that something was amiss came when the 7th Fleet's reconnaissance drones began disappearing. Not destroyed, simply gone as if they had never existed. Admiral Kextel had reported it as a minor technical malfunction. The humans couldn't possibly have stealth technology advanced enough to fool hegemony sensors. Then came the trap. The human colony of New Geneva had appeared defenseless, a perfect target for the hegemony's standard intimidation protocol. A few precision orbital strikes, minimal civilian casualties, and the humans would surrender their entire system. It had worked on 43 previous occasions with other species. But as the fleet moved into position, space itself seemed to come alive. What the hegemony had mistaken for simple asteroid mining operations were actually weapons platforms, hidden in plain sight. Massive railguns disguised as ore processors launched tungsten projectiles at relativistic speeds. The humans had turned their entire asteroid belt into a fortress. "Clever little mammals," Admiral Kextel had transmitted before his flagship exploded. "But this won't—" The communication had ended there. Worse still were the reports from the few surviving vessels. The humans hadn't just fought back. They had adapted in real time. Each hegemony tactic was countered within minutes, sometimes seconds. Their ships moved with impossible coordination, as if controlled by a single mind. Yet hegemony scanners detected no central command vessel, no overriding AI system. The survivors spoke of human vessels that appeared to be nothing more than cargo haulers, suddenly sprouting weapon systems. They described fighter craft that moved like nothing in hegemony databases, not through superior technology, but through maneuvers that should have killed their pilots from G-force alone. "They fly their ships like they're trying to die," one traumatized pilot reported. No regard for safety protocols, no fear of structural failure. They pushed their machines beyond all rational limits. But the most disturbing reports came from the few ground engagements. Human soldiers who continued fighting with wounds that would incapacitate any sensible species. Humans who used their own damaged equipment as improvised weapons. Humans who, when surrounded and outgunned, chose to detonate their own positions rather than surrender. The Krillian had called it madness. Zethkar was beginning to suspect it was something far more dangerous than that. The second fleet sent to clean up the human problem had simply vanished. No distress signals, no debris fields. 300 ships and their crews gone without a trace somewhere in human-controlled space. Now, as Zethkar reviewed the latest intelligence, a pattern emerged that chilled his exoskeleton. The humans weren't just winning, they were learning. Every engagement taught them something new about hegemony tactics, technology, and weaknesses. And they were teaching each other at a rate that defied explanation. A communication request interrupted his thoughts. The display showed a human face, unremarkable by most standards, but the eyes held an intelligence that made Zethkar's primary heart skip a beat. "Ambassador Zethkar," the human said, his voice carrying an accent that suggested one of their major population centers. "I'm Admiral Chen of the Terran Defense Force. I believe we need to talk." "You are in violation of 17 Galactic Council statutes," Zethkar replied. trying to maintain diplomatic protocol despite the circumstances. Surrender now and your species will be granted standard resettlement terms. Admiral Chen smiled, an expression that somehow managed to be more unsettling than any threat Zethkar had ever received. Ambassador, your council declared us a minor threat. You sent 2 fleets to prove your point. We've sent them both to demonstrate ours. The human leaned forward slightly. Here's what your intelligence reports probably don't tell you. Every ship in your fleets was crewed by someone's family. Every pilot had friends, hopes, dreams. We know this because we've learned your languages, studied your cultures, and understand your psychology better than you understand ours. Zethkar felt his secondary heart stop beating entirely. The difference between us, Admiral Chen continued, is that when we fight, it's not for territory or resources or political dominance. We fight because you threatened our home, our families, our future, and when humans fight for those things, Ambassador, we don't know how to lose. The transmission ended, leaving Zethkar staring at a blank screen. Outside his window, he could see the lights of the council chambers where representatives of 100 species debated policy and trade agreements, blissfully unaware that their universe had just shifted on its axis. Humanity wasn't a minor threat. They were the storm that would reshape everything.